Sarah, an artist known for her unsettling yet beautiful work, received an unexpected message. A nameless online profile expressed interest in a particularly disturbing pizza-headless figure amidst perched birds. The buyer offered a price far exceeding her usual rates, insisting on immediate purchase. Intrigued and needing the money, Sarah agreed. After the sale, the buyer continued messaging. He praised her honesty and unique perspective, then commissioned a new work with real anatomical elements, requesting more visceral depictions of skeletal structures. He sent a photo showcasing his collection of meticulously arranged animal bones, claiming they were roadkill he'd preserved. Unsettled, but needing the commission money, Sarah tried to remain neutral. A video call followed. The buyer, his camera off, spoke in a quiet, calm voice, detailing his vision for a piece featuring a human torso with exposed bones. He emphasized the importance of it feeling real, stating that people need to remember what's underneath. His tone, while soft, carried an unnerving intensity. Sarah ended the call quickly, a sense of unease settling upon her. Days later, another message arrived. "You ever seen a real human skull up close?" Followed by, "I've always wanted one, the real thing." He spoke of masterpieces and their price, and then outright asked if Sarah knew anyone who could provide him with a real human skull, offering a substantial payment. Sarah refused, stating her discomfort. His response, "Some people are too afraid to see truth, but living material, that's the most pure." Terror gripped Sarah. She realized how much personal information she had shared online, making her location easily traceable. She frantically scrubbed her social media, deleting photos, removing geotags, and making her profiles private. She even removed the online listing of the painting he'd bought. That night, she had a nightmare about a figure scraping at her window. The next day, Sarah contacted a lawyer, vaguely describing the situation and receiving advice on gathering evidence. While she didn't go to the police, she meticulously documented every interaction with the buyer, storing the information on a USB drive hidden in a metal box. She then erased all traces of him from her devices. Paranoia consumed her. Every stranger felt like a threat. She confided in a friend who offered her spare room in a secure building. Sarah accepted, fleeing her apartment and seeking refuge. She stopped creating art, the act itself tainted by the experience. Slowly, with her friend's support, Sarah began to heal. She sketched simple things, avoiding any reminders of her ordeal. The emergency folder remained, a constant reminder of her close call. The buyer never contacted her again, but the experience left an indelible mark, a chilling testament to the darkness lurking beneath the surface of the online world. Ethan's fitness livestream was going great. Thousands were watching his workout in his empty house. Mid-set, a comment appeared. "Who's that behind you?" More followed, insisting someone was in the hallway. Ethan, unnerved, checked the locked door connecting the garage to the house. It was slightly ajar. He told his viewers it was nothing, but they claimed they'd seen a shadow. He checked the hallway empty. Returning to his workout, he double-locked the door. Minutes later, the chat exploded again. People reported seeing movement inside the house. Ethan heard soft footsteps, too heavy to be settling wood, coming from deeper within. Grabbing his phone from the tripod, he cautiously opened the hallway door. The viewers urged him to flee. The lights flickered. A floorboard creaked near the kitchen. Ethan saw a shadow retreat at the edge of the kitchen doorway. He whispered, "Someone call the cops," into the phone. More shuffling sounds came from the kitchen. He ran. Bursting out the back door, he sprinted to his neighbors, phone still live, begging them to call 911. The police arrived, searched the house, but found no one. The garage and back door locks, however, showed signs of forced entry. Nothing was stolen. Later, Ethan reviewed the stream. Fleeting glimpses of movement confirmed he wasn't hallucinating. Some viewers called it a hoax, others were terrified. Ethan installed new locks and started taking self-defense classes. He stopped streaming from home. The feeling of being watched lingered. Years later, while working as a journalist, Ethan's friend and aid worker sent him a chilling screenshot. It was a photo of a captive man surrounded by armed men. The caption read, "What should happen to this enemy spy? Vote below." The comments section was flooded with responses, ranging from pleas for mercy to violent suggestions. The photo's source was a small but rapidly growing social media account. Subsequent photos showed the prisoner's condition worsening. The account's activity was escalating, fueled by audience engagement. Ethan's friend was desperately trying to alert authorities and journalists, fearing for the captive's life. A military analyst I knew contacted me, agitated. He'd found a disturbing social media page. Soldiers, faces obscured, held a captive. No identifying information, just a desolate landscape. My contact was trying to analyze the images, hoping to determine the location and the group responsible. But progress was slow. The soldiers hadn't used any traceable tech or shown any recognizable landmarks. It was impossible to pinpoint where this was unfolding. My contact was convinced the soldiers were motivated by the attention. This wasn't interrogation or intelligence gathering. This was about virality. And the comments section was a nightmare. People were clamoring for more pictures. Some even wanted a live stream. Several accounts, some clearly bots, some possibly real, began messaging the page, offering money if the captive was killed. The page administrator started responding. One reply simply stating, "We'll see how the voting goes. Keep watching." I was stunned that this was happening so publicly. It felt like a flagrant violation of international law, but laws mean little without enforcement. In certain parts of the world, no one pays attention unless forced to. Later that day, my contact sent another screenshot. The caption read, "Last chance to vote. Countdown starts now." The prisoner knelt, hands bound, head bowed. The picture was darker, taken near sunset. A loose rope lay nearby. Hundreds of comments flooded the post. People tagged friends, treating it like a viral meme. A few desperate voices pleaded for the man's life, but they were lost in the noise. My contact was frantically trying to raise the alarm, reaching out to anyone with influence. He stressed the need to get this into Western media immediately. Time was running out. I started drafting an alert for my team, trying to verify the source and identify the group behind the page, but the clock was ticking, and the page's follower count kept climbing. Hours later, another photo emerged. This one was unambiguous. The man was dead. He lay on the same patch of dirt, still bound, his head at an unnatural angle. The caption, "The people have spoken." It felt surreal, like watching something impossible. But it was real. The internet exploded. Some claimed it was fake, staged to provoke a reaction. Others insisted it was authentic, a public execution live-streamed for entertainment. My contact didn't waste time speculating. He reached out to 2 contacts still near the region. They confirmed the execution. One local group had even learned the victim's name. He wasn't a spy. He was a local translator caught in the crossfire during a military sweep. They suspected he'd shared information, but it was never confirmed. Local authorities were unresponsive, perhaps unwilling or unable to intervene. A small human rights group attempted to alert international organizations, but they were powerless. No one was paying close attention to that region. The platform began scrubbing the content. The original account vanished, along with several connected accounts. Screenshots, blurred and pixelated, were already circulating on forums and private channels, destined to be deleted within hours. I managed to collect a few low-resolution images, some already flagged as sensitive content. Local sources corroborated the story, but no one would speak publicly. The incident was slipping through the cracks. I stared at the screenshot of the kneeling man, his eyes swollen. Below him, people had voted on his life like it was a music contest. This was unlike anything I'd encountered. It was a digital execution chamber. I attempted to contact the platform directly. No press line, no emergency contact, just a form. I filled it out, adding links and details. Hours later, I received a generic response. The reported account has been reviewed and removed for violating content guidelines. No mention of the execution, no acknowledgement of what happened. Their priority was avoiding legal trouble, not addressing the atrocity. I kept investigating for days. A few blogs picked up the story, then some small news sites. None had the original photos, just fragments, and always with disclaimers about unverifiable content. Larger outlets ignored it. Some claimed they couldn't verify the source. Others dismissed it as commonplace. And in some places that's true. But this was different. This was public, a social media challenge. Online discussions continued. Some expressed outrage. Others rationalized it as a consequence of war. A few tried identifying the soldiers, but without uniforms, names, or clear markers, it dissolved into speculation. My contact had to evacuate shortly after. The conflict escalated, and aid workers became targets. He called before leaving, saying, "We've fallen into a pit. People click buttons now to decide who dies." That statement resonated deeply. I returned to work, covering other stories, but my perspective on social media had changed. I once saw it as a tool. Now, it felt like a loaded weapon in the wrong hands. It wasn't just about disinformation anymore. It was about participation, about giving people a sense of involvement in something they shouldn't even witness. There was no official response. No statements, investigations, or apologies to the victim's family. No one took responsibility. The post simply vanished in the endless churn of news. I tried sharing the story with other reporters. Some initially expressed interest, but ultimately declined. "We've seen worse," they'd say, or "it's untraceable, unverifiable." And they were right. It had already faded. What remained were the screenshots, shared in hidden corners of the internet, not always in mourning or protest. Sometimes just to say, "Look what they did." It became a reference point, something cited in online arguments. There was never any accountability. The creators of the original page returned. New accounts surfaced, using a similar format, posting similar content, not always executions, sometimes beatings or humiliations, always blurred enough to avoid automatic deletion, always vague enough to stay under the radar. They understood the game now. They knew how to attract attention and how to evade detection. They were adapting. I kept thinking about the prisoner, how he probably didn't understand what was happening, how his life became a pole, his death a thread, his face a meme. Someone, somewhere, probably saved that photo and looks at it occasionally, not with horror, but with a sense of its power. That's the haunting part. Maybe one day the truth will surface. Maybe someone will confess. Maybe one of those soldiers will be identified. But time marches on. The internet forgets faster than it remembers. And those closest to it, those who witnessed it and tried to intervene, are left with fragments of a story no one wants to believe is real. Amelia confided in a few friends about a secluded retreat she'd booked, but swore them to secrecy. A week later, growing concerned by her silence, her friends tried calling the retreat. The receptionist couldn't find a guest registered under Amelia's name, but mentioned some people used aliases. That night, one friend texted Amelia, begging for a single message to confirm she was safe. No response ever came. Amelia was found deceased on a deserted country lane. Her body bore no marks of violence. Police initially suspected no foul play but launched an investigation. Her friends were devastated. Amelia loathed unfamiliar places and would never wander off alone. Her husband's alibi, backed by receipts and location data, checked out. He'd been at a business conference out of state. The investigation seemed to stall. Amelia's phone and purse were gone. Her car was parked on a dirt track, keys in the ignition, with no signs of a struggle. Her body lay nearby in the grass, as if she simply stepped out and collapsed. But details didn't add up. Her shoes were spotless, despite the muddy ground, and her last phone signal, hours earlier, originated miles away. Police suggested the body might have been moved or she'd wandered, but her friends remained unconvinced. The official report cited a possible heart attack, noting the absence of drugs or alcohol. Stress was listed as a potential contributing factor. Online, Amelia's followers erupted in speculation, dissecting her last video and live stream appearances for clues. Some claimed she looked unwell. Others thought her responses seemed slow. Those closest to her, however, sensed a darker truth. In the weeks leading up to her death, Amelia had confided in several people that she felt watched. She'd received unsettling messages from anonymous accounts saying things like, "I see you," or "We'll meet soon." One message even stated, "You can't hide from me, Amelia." She'd shared screenshots with a friend but later deleted them, unwilling to dwell on it. Amelia began avoiding her favorite spots, stopped tagging locations in real time, and started posting old photos. She once described seeing a man in a tinted car outside her apartment building. He just sat there, then vanished. She dismissed it as her imagination, but her voice betrayed her fear. Friends urged her to go to the police, but Amelia feared another scandal would damage her brand, prioritizing her reputation over her safety. Her friends hadn't pressed her. After her death, her friends scrutinized her online presence. In a video filmed at a boutique Amelia frequented, they noticed a blurred figure in the background staring at her. The same man appeared, barely visible, in a photo taken at a coffee shop. They weren't imagining things, but the images were too indistinct for identification. Every clue felt like a fragment, a shadow or reflection, not enough to present to the police. It felt as though Amelia's fate was sealed long before she vanished, and they were sifting through the remnants of a tragedy. The investigation faded. Detectives were reassigned and the media moved on. Without a suspect or evidence, the case stalled. The official cause of death remained a possible stress-induced cardiac event, despite Amelia having no history of heart problems and an inconclusive autopsy. Online forums buzzed with theories implicating her husband, a stalker, or even a staged disappearance. Her friends explored every possibility, trying to piece together the missing parts of the puzzle. Amelia's social media presence, filled with smiles and optimistic captions, masked the exhaustion visible in her eyes, her avoidance of mirrors and videos, and the hushed tone in her voice when she thought no one was listening. No one ever claimed responsibility. No arrest was made. No definitive answers emerged. Amelia's photos still circulated online, perpetually smiling, seemingly unaware of the impending darkness. Her friends still dreamed of her, chatting over coffee, discussing future plans, the life she yearned for. They woke to silence, unanswered questions lingering. What truly happened to Amelia? Victoria loved documenting her life online, her outfits, routines, travels, her house with its large yard and pool. Followers messaged her about skincare, clothing brands, and time management, and she enjoyed connecting with them. Her follower count surged after a skincare video went viral, attracting brand deals and providing a sense of accomplishment. Negative comments about her perceived vanity came with the territory, and she brushed them off. One afternoon, while filming a vlog, a furious man banged on Victoria's door, demanding money. He claimed she'd borrowed over $5,000, showing her messages and receipts. Victoria denied knowing him. He held up his phone, displaying a conversation thread. The photos and writing style were eerily similar to hers, but she insisted she hadn't sent the messages. He didn't believe her, accusing her of running a scam and threatening legal action. Victoria told him to call the authorities. He eventually left, spewing curses. Victoria frantically checked her accounts and found nothing amiss. But then, searching her name online, she discovered a mirror account, mimicking her profile with a subtly different username. She reported it, but received no response. 3 days later, another man arrived, claiming Victoria had invited him to visit after weeks of online chats. He, too, had screenshots. Victoria explained the situation, showing him her real profile. He apologized and departed. The incidents continued. Always men, always with stories of money sent or promises made. Some even had voice notes that sounded eerily like her. It went beyond copied photos. Someone had meticulously studied her communication style. Then, a woman arrived, screaming accusations. She claimed Victoria had ruined her marriage by accepting money from her husband, presenting screenshots of flirtatious exchanges where Victoria thanked him for helping her escape a bad relationship. The messages were incredibly detailed. The woman, distraught and seeking revenge, left in tears. Terrified, Victoria scoured the internet, discovering her name linked to events she hadn't attended, coaching sessions she never offered, and accusations of fraud. Her image was being used to sell lies across multiple cities. She deleted geotags, locked her stories, and disabled comments, but the damage was done. One morning, she saw a man parked across the street, watching her house. Victoria repeatedly reported the fake account to the platform, detailing the threats and providing evidence, but her pleas seemed to vanish into the void. Delayed responses were the first sign. Days sometimes went by with no word. Then, strangers started appearing at my doorstep. One evening, a man in his 40s approached as I locked up. He wasn't loud like the others, just stood there asking if I recognized him. I didn't. He scrolled through his phone, showing me the same messages the others had. Thousands of them. Then he said he'd borrowed money from his loved ones, convinced by my impersonator that we were partners in a new venture. Now he was broke, and they wanted their money back. My explanations were useless. He just shook his head, mumbled about losing everything, and left. It was clear this wasn't just one person. Online whispers began about other social media personalities targeted by similar scams, fake profiles mirroring them, luring people into phony romances, bogus job offers, even proposals. I started documenting everything: screenshots, emails, online reports, anything that might help. I filed a police report, but the process was a nightmare. Endless paperwork, meetings, retelling the same story to different officers, answering the same questions over and over. They treated it like a typical online crime, but nobody seemed to know who was responsible. It was always, "We'll look into it," or "We'll forward this." My image was still plastered across fake accounts. Every new follower felt like a potential victim. I scrutinized every direct message, every tag, expecting another complaint, another demand for non-existent funds. I stopped sleeping near the windows, double-bolting doors even during the day. I'd peer through the blinds at every passing footstep. I even parked blocks away and walked home, paranoid about being tailed. Finally, I cracked. I rented a tiny apartment across town, a nondescript 2-room place above a bakery. No identifying features, no address shared. I deactivated my online presence, hid my profile, used a fake name on the building's intercom. I only went out when absolutely necessary, masked and hooded even for groceries. A couple of times, unfamiliar cars lingered outside, the kind that didn't belong in that quiet neighborhood. I couldn't be sure they were watching me, but I stayed inside. My family insisted I wasn't to blame, but it was my face, my name, my voice used to deceive people. Even if I hadn't sent the messages, it was my image promising love, support, whatever the scammer thought would work. I deleted my main account, scrubbed all location data. I warned my close friends about the imposter accounts. Some had already been contacted for money or favors. Thankfully, they were suspicious. But not everyone was so lucky. Online forums buzzed with speculation. Some defended me, others accused me of orchestrating the whole thing. I stopped reading. It was a waste of time. Yet the messages persisted, finding their way to my backup account, my business email. Some were angry, some confused, some desperate. The scam was still running. My online persona, carefully cultivated over years, had become a weapon. The very pictures I used to connect with people now used to steal from them. Eventually, some of the fake profiles vanished. Moderators finally acted on my reports, but nobody knew if they'd caught the original or just copies. The damage was irreversible. I packed my meager belongings and moved again, this time to a different city, crashing with a friend from college. I kept my relocation quiet, avoiding any public explanations. Going online felt like navigating a minefield. My former manager suggested going public, issuing a press release, maybe even a documentary about online identity theft. He said it would clear my name, but I was drained. It felt like more exposure, more scrutiny on a life I wanted private. And the accusations lingered. Even after the fake accounts were shut down, some people still believed I was complicit, playing both sides. I locked down my new account. No hashtags, no location tags, only accepting requests from people I knew personally. I'd post occasionally, but nothing revealing, nothing traceable. just mundane things. A book, a cup of tea, a generic window view. I still search my name sometimes, and every now and then I find something. A forum post, a suspicious profile using an old photo. I can't run forever, I know that. But I'm living more cautiously now, more deliberately, hoping the truth will eventually prevail. Maybe someday I can return online without fear. For now, I just want to be quiet, to be unseen, to be real. Jenna was terrified. She hadn't slept and gripped her purse tightly, standing back from a man lounging against the building entrance. He looked relaxed, but as I approached, he turned, offering a chillingly polite smile. "Just wanted a quick chat," he said, hands in plain sight. Despite his calm demeanor, his eyes held a disturbing intensity. Stepping between Jenna and him, I said she wasn't interested. He ignored me, focusing on her. "I just want what's mine," he stated. I told him to leave or we'd call the cops. His smile vanished. "You think they'll help?" he murmured, the air suddenly thick with tension. Jenna intervened, her voice low and steady. "We can talk inside, 10 minutes." She nodded at me, and I followed them upstairs. He entered her apartment like he owned it, scanning the room. Jenna offered him water, trying to keep things calm. Suddenly, he looked at me. "Can you give us a minute?" Jenna hesitated, then said, "Ellie, it's fine. Wait next door." I went into the hall, leaving the door cracked open. Minutes passed. Raised voices, mainly his. I heard him say something about giving everything for her replying that it was over. Then quietly, Jenna said, "It's handled. Stay put." I listened. Then, silence. A terrifying, empty silence. After a few agonizing seconds, I burst in. Jenna lay on the floor, blood spreading across her shirt. He stood over her, knife in hand, a stunned expression on his face. I screamed, grabbed a ceramic bowl, and hurled it. It struck his arm. He stumbled, dropping the knife. I rushed to Jenna, but he shoved me aside and fled. I chased him to the doorway, but he was already gone. Slamming and locking the door, I fumbled with my phone, dialing 911. Kneeling beside Jenna, I pressed on her wound, telling her help was coming. She was barely conscious, looking at me like she wanted to speak. The ambulance arrived 8 minutes later. They worked frantically, then rushed her out. I followed to the hospital, numb. In the ER, a nurse's expression told me everything. Jenna was dead. The wounds were too severe. The police took statements. Neighbors provided descriptions, even a partial license plate. Security footage showed his car speeding away. He was apprehended that afternoon only 10 miles away. He hadn't even tried to escape. He confessed. He said he just wanted her to listen, claimed she'd been cruel, taken something from him, but never specified what. The trial was swift. He received a life sentence without parole, displaying no remorse. I testified, met Jenna's parents, helped her sister clear out her apartment. It felt surreal. Her clothes still hung in the closet, notebooks filled with work notes and unfinished blog posts. Her online profile became a memorial. People posted tributes. Former clients, classmates, even strangers who followed her online. They shared how she'd helped them, made them laugh, taught them about health. She probably never knew her online presence touched so many. I still visit her page, scrolling through old posts. Her voice, her style, her little quirks preserved digitally. Now, when someone mentions being stalked or harassed online, I don't hesitate. I urge them to report it immediately. Don't wait, I tell them. Don't assume it will disappear, because it doesn't always. Sometimes it escalates. Sometimes it ends like this. I knew this photographer, Chloe. Everyone called her Daredevil Chloe. She was an online sensation obsessed with capturing the perfect shot. We'd hang out, grab coffee, go on road trips in her white Range Rover, camera gear always in the back. Usually, it was relaxed and fun. But Chloe craved excitement. We'd go to scenic spots, take photos at sunrise, typical influencer stuff. But Chloe always pushed it, climbing railings, seeking the highest vantage point. Even then, she was chasing the risky shot, phone perpetually in hand, posting constantly. Then came the craze of extreme rooftop selfies, people perched on skyscrapers dangling off ledges. Chloe noticed. I remember her showing a video of someone in Tokyo on a skyscraper beam, millions of likes. Hours later, she posted a poll. Should I try this? The response was overwhelming, and Chloe never backed down from a dare. We pleaded with her to be cautious. Even the laid-back ones in our group were worried. I told her not to do anything foolish, that it wasn't worth it. She'd just smile, claiming she knew what she was doing. I argued online likes weren't worth dying for. She brushed it off. Once Chloe decided something, there was no changing her mind. She started hanging out with a new crowd, thrill-seeking rooftop photographers. They climbed fire escapes, infiltrated construction sites, acting invincible. Chloe fit right in, posting clips of herself on building edges, arms outstretched, city lights gleaming. No safety equipment, just reckless abandon. Comments flooded in, half begging her to stop predicting disaster, the other half hailing her as fearless, inspiring. The likes and comments fueled her. It wasn't about photography anymore. It was about pushing boundaries. I messaged her privately, expressing concern, telling her it was getting dangerous. Sometimes she'd respond with a laughing emoji, sometimes nothing. Once she said, "This is who I am now. This is my life." It was chilling. She'd fully embraced the persona. The scary part was she was becoming incredibly skilled, accessing increasingly dangerous locations, active construction sites with gaping holes, buildings with security. Every post made me sick with worry. One slip, one gust of wind, and it would be over. Yet, I couldn't stop watching. The day it happened, Chloe and 2 other bloggers planned their record-breaking rooftop shot. A sleek glass tower downtown, with panoramic city views. It was incredibly windy, but that made it perfect for their dramatic, viral-worthy footage. I didn't go. She didn't even invite me. She knew I wouldn't approve. I watched her live stream, obsessively checking my phone. She was laughing, perched on the edge, arms outstretched, wind whipping her hair. The camera shook, but she didn't flinch. They'd snuck in, climbed the stairs, accessed the roof, then higher. One filmed the dizzying drop below. Chloe said, "Wait till you see this," and handed her phone off. She stepped over the railing. The stream cut to static, then black. Initially, people thought it was a signal issue. Then, panicked comments erupted. Where'd she go? Did she fall? I read a message. I think she slipped. Only the wind was audible, then a scream. A long, horrifying scream before the camera tumbled. Silence. I waited, frozen, hoping it was some cruel prank. But the news spread, group chats, social media. A friend confirmed it. Chloe fell. 2 words. I went numb. Emergency services arrived, but too late. She wasn't killed instantly, apparently. Still breathing when they found her, but gone by the time medics arrived. The guy filming recorded a video later that night. Eyes red, voice shaking, pleading with people not to emulate them. that it wasn't worth it. But the internet did what it always does. Some blamed Chloe. Others romanticized her death. People who never knew her wrote lengthy tributes. Others exploited her death for clicks, sharing footage of the fall, zoomed-in screenshots. Some even tried to sell merchandise. I couldn't handle it, avoiding social media for days. When I finally logged in, it hit me harder. Scrolling through old messages, silly selfies, inside jokes, the little heart emojis she always used. I kept expecting to see her name pop up. Amelia's daring online persona masked a deep recklessness. Her sudden death, a fall from a skyscraper in the financial district, shocked everyone, but her closest confidant admitted Amelia always pushed boundaries. Authorities investigated, scrutinized buildings, and tightened security measures, but it was futile. Amelia was gone. The aftermath was a nightmare. A devoted group of Amelia's followers began mimicking her dangerous rooftop stunts. They claimed it was a tribute, posting videos and photos mirroring her poses, tagging her dormant profile. I thought the tragedy would deter them, but it only fueled their recklessness. Every new video, every precarious perch on a crane or ledge made me nauseous. They weren't honoring her. They were courting the same thrill, the same deadly consequences. Weeks after the funeral, I couldn't stand the charade. I erased my online presence, severing ties with the group. The performative grief, the reckless stunts, the romanticized view of her death, it was all unbearable. Her death wasn't a dramatic finale. It was real, horrific, and permanent. Now I cherish the quiet memories. Winter afternoons in her heated car, iced coffees in hand, bickering over snacks, laughing over nothing. That was the Amelia I knew, not the online daredevil, not a viral hashtag, just my friend. Driving past the downtown skyscrapers, I still look up at that tower, imagining the wind whistling through its glass canyons. I remember her laughter, her messy updo, the chipped polish on her nails, the way she leaned into the steering wheel as if pursuing something just beyond her grasp. She caught it, but at a devastating price. My job on a luxury yacht promised easy money and adventure. The vessel was opulent, enormous suites, a deck pool, a gourmet chef. The owner, a reclusive tycoon, rarely appeared. The crew, mostly older, included a young woman named Chloe. Online, she projected a carefree image of cocktails and sunsets. In reality, she seemed anxious, constantly looking over her shoulder. I noticed her unease around certain senior crew members, her forced smiles, her averted gaze. 4 days into the 10-day Mediterranean cruise, I observed Chloe receiving cryptic messages, disappearing after her phone buzzed, whispering furtively into the receiver. One night, I found her weeping quietly near the storage area, quickly composing herself when she saw me. The next day, she confided that some crew members seemed to be watching her, always knowing her location. I started noticing it too, a disturbing pattern of 2 older crewmen always appearing wherever she went. Late one night, I heard footsteps outside my cabin, then the distinct creak of someone lingering, listening. Chloe looked even more haggard the following morning, admitting she felt watched every night. She began isolating herself, seeking refuge in quiet corners of the yacht. One afternoon, she confessed, "It's like a cage. I can't escape." I suggested leaving at the next port, but she shook her head, whispering, "It's not that simple. I can't." It wasn't just about leaving a job. It felt like she was entangled in something sinister. One night, she disappeared. Just before midnight, I heard footsteps leading toward the engine room. I followed cautiously and saw her making a frantic phone call, glancing nervously around. "I can't do this anymore," she pleaded. "I'm scared. You said you'd help. I need out. It's a golden cage. Looks perfect, but I'm trapped." She looked defeated after the call. Afterward, she became hypervigilant, avoiding certain guests and crew members. She told me she was leaving at the next Italian port, her voice resolute but filled with fear. A flicker of hope returned, but the fear remained. The next morning, chaos erupted. Shouts echoed through the yacht. Chloe was found unconscious near the bow stairwell, blood pooling beside her head. A deckhand claimed she'd slipped, but no one witnessed the fall. A medical team arrived by speedboat, but it was too late. She died in the hospital the next morning. The captain announced an internal investigation, calling it an unfortunate accident. His tone was detached, emotionless. The older crew members remained impassive, their faces betraying nothing. Later, I overheard the captain ordering someone to suppress the story. The official report attributed Chloe's death to a possible medical episode, no foul play suspected. Her social media was sanitized, the distressed photos erased, leaving only the curated illusion of a perfect life. The comments poured in. So beautiful. Amelia's death remains a mystery. The yacht's owner vanished to Dubai the day after, leaving no trace, no explanations for the crew, no public statements, nothing. The captain ordered us to keep quiet. Fear spread through the crew. Whispers died quickly. We felt watched. I quit the moment we returned to Italy, grabbing my bag and leaving without a word. Others followed. I sometimes see photos of Amelia online, smiling with a drink, looking carefree. But I recall the tremor in her voice when she confided her fear, how she avoided certain people, how she described feeling trapped. She wanted out. Maybe someone stopped her. I don't know what occurred that night, but it wasn't an accident. The cover-up was too swift, too thorough. I suspect she knew something she shouldn't have, and it cost her her life. The day I left Portland, I planned a live stream from a small cafe with outdoor seating. Cars hummed by as I chatted with viewers, my laptop open and camera facing the street. The waitress brought iced tea. Passers-by waved, and the usual 200 or so viewers filled the chat. Some suggested a walk through the old port district later. I agreed. I sat with my back to the cafe wall, occasionally turning the camera to show the city lights. A saxophone played nearby. Everything felt peaceful as I talked about books and tech, even joking about a faulty cable. Regular viewers chatted amongst themselves. I sipped my tea and watched the sky darken. Then a scraping sound startled me. A man stood close behind me, motionless. He wore a dark hoodie and a full face mask, unusual for the mild weather. I thought it was a prank. I even smiled, expecting a laugh. But he was silent, rigid. The chat noticed him. I tried to keep it light, waving and saying something about a surprise guest. He stepped closer, too close. I felt a knot of fear but maintained my smile, adjusting the camera slightly. I asked if I could help him. My voice wavered. He didn't reply. Then he gripped my shoulder hard. I almost dropped the microphone. The chat erupted in questions. He yelled, words about lies and games, his voice strained and unsteady. His eyes, visible above the mask, were wide and darting. I pushed at his hand, asking what he was doing, telling him I didn't know him. The camera still rolled. He raised his hand, holding something small, dark, and heavy. A metal bar, maybe a tool. I recoiled, knocking over my chair. He gripped the object tighter. I raised my hands defensively, forgetting the live stream. He swung hard, hitting my forearm. Pain exploded. The waitress screamed. I stumbled, pulling out a microphone cable. The laptop screen shook. The stream continued, chaotic and blurred. He shoved me, and I fell onto the asphalt, my knee hitting hard. I heard gasps, running feet, shouts about calling the police. People filmed with their phones. My head swam. I couldn't understand why this was happening. I'd never seen him before. He stood over me, breathing heavily. Then he looked at the camera, seemingly realizing it was recording. He reached down, shoved the camera aside, and yanked the USB stick from my laptop, stuffing it into his pocket. I was stunned. The USB contained only editing templates and old clips, nothing important. But he took it like it was priceless. Then he ran, vanishing around the corner. Someone helped me up. Sirens wailed in the distance. My arm throbbed, my knee was bleeding. A cafe worker applied a towel to my arm. The laptop lay open, the stream frozen on a tilted view of the ground. Later, I learned some viewers thought it was staged. But the panic, the blood, was real. People tried to trace my location using past streams. Some even called the police. Officers arrived quickly, but he was gone. Witnesses said he ran across the street and into an alley. No one pursued him. An ambulance took me to the hospital. They x-rayed, bandaged, and gave me painkillers. The nurse looked skeptical when I explained I was attacked while live streaming. For days, I replayed the attack. Had I angered someone online? I searched my messages, reviewed blocked users, but found nothing. No threats, no angry followers. The police retrieved security footage, but the mask and hoodie obscured his face. They said they'd investigate, but it was unlikely they'd find him. People disappear. My followers reached out, mostly supportive, but some accused me of faking it for views. I stopped reading messages. Even after returning home, I felt uneasy outside. Every hooded figure made me flinch. I installed new locks, canceled streams, and stayed inside, haunted by the feeling of being watched. The memory of the blow, the searing pain, the helplessness replays constantly. I wonder if he'll return, if he'll hit harder, if he's watching me now. They never caught him. I never got an answer. When Sarah mentioned plastic surgery, I didn't think much of it. She was a model, obsessed with her image. At 31, she looked fantastic, but wanted to freshen up. I imagined minor procedures, but she planned something more drastic. She found a cheaper clinic in South America with a flashy website boasting innovative techniques and celebrity endorsements. The low price alarmed me. I urged caution, suggesting local consultations and research. She dismissed my concerns. Clara was obsessed with looking perfect. She trusted anything that seemed trendy, especially online. She'd found a cosmetic surgery clinic overseas that advertised unbelievable prices. I warned her, it seemed sketchy, but she showed me glowing reviews, supposedly from famous people. I couldn't find those reviews anywhere else, but she brushed off my worries. The morning of her flight, she looked surprisingly plain. She was excited, but also a little nervous about the procedures, a lower facelift, some eye work, and jaw reshaping. She assured me it'd be a 2-hour thing, easy peasy. I made her promise to call after the surgery. She smiled and walked off, pulling her suitcase like it was just another vacation. She texted pictures from the airport shuttle. A sleek black van, a smiling clinic representative with a sign. The next morning, she posted videos of the clinic. It looked like a spa. Gleaming white floors, huge windows, plants everywhere. Even the receptionist looked like a model. Clara seemed relaxed, saying the surgeon was charming and knowledgeable. He told her she was the ideal candidate. That night, she posted a video from her private balcony, looking calm and confident. People flooded her comments with praise, some asking for the clinic's info. A few hours after her scheduled surgery time, I got a groggy voice message. She said everything went fine, just tired. A picture followed, her face partially bandaged, but her eyes seemed okay. Then, silence. The next day, nothing. Finally, a text. Feeling a bit off, they say it's normal. I asked what was wrong, but she didn't reply. The following morning, dizzy, nausea, swelling is worse. They gave me something for pain. She was too weak to talk, wouldn't video call. The clinic posted a generic update on Clara's account saying she was recovering well. The tone felt wrong, not like her. I called her international number, straight to voicemail. Her social media went dark, completely unlike her. Short, impersonal texts trickled in, not in her voice at all. Then, nothing. I called the clinic. A cheerful woman's voice turned cold when I asked about Clara. Minor complications, she said, but Clara was resting. I felt a growing dread. I found an online forum mentioning local volunteers who helped tourists. I contacted one, David, explaining everything. Hours later, David called. His voice was strained. The clinic claimed Clara died from post-op complications, something vague about her heart. They told him to leave. David sent me a photo of the clinic entrance, the same one from Clara's video. Then a photo of a notice board inside, a small, printed message with Clara's name offering condolences. I kept expecting a message, leaving my phone on all night. I stared at our last photo, her smiling in my kitchen. Her Instagram froze on surgery day. I scrolled through it endlessly, modeling shots, runway videos, airport selfies, bursting with life. Now, each picture felt like a step toward disaster. People left condolences, but others still asked for the clinic's details. I called the clinic again, disconnected. The website was different. New name, new address. The clinic representative vanished. The embassy said they knew, but the local authorities were investigating. Then the gut punch. The clinic was fake. No license, no real surgeons, just a facade preying on unsuspecting patients. They used influencers, fake reviews, flashy marketing. And when things went south, they covered it up. Clara's family fought, hired a lawyer, demanded answers. The local authorities stalled, claimed lack of jurisdiction. The clinic vanished, staff scattered. No one to hold accountable. I tortured myself. Could I have stopped her? But she was stubborn. She thought she was being clever, saving money, getting VIP treatment. She didn't realize it would cost her life. The case died. No charges, no report, just silence. The lawyer gave up. Clara's family held a quiet funeral. I watched online. Her mother looked devastated. Online tributes continued. Strangers posted her photos, praising her bravery, her inspiration. Some still planned to go to that country for surgery, blaming Clara's death on bad luck. I wanted to scream. This wasn't luck. It was a predatory system. I saved Clara's videos, her excitement, her dreams of walking runways in Milan and Tokyo. She never got there. Now, these videos are all I have. I still see social media posts promoting cheap surgeries, tagging shady clinics. They don't understand how quickly it can go wrong. They don't know the pain of losing someone to something so preventable. Clara didn't die chasing beauty. She died believing a lie. A polished, promising lie that offered a better version of herself in exchange for everything. It could have been anyone. There's no warning label for trust, no refund for regret, just a name on a cold wall and a story people scroll past too quickly to comprehend. The forest felt wrong, cold and still. Signs of previous hikers, but nothing recent. The quiet was unsettling. No birds, no bugs, just a heavy silence. We continued, our GPS malfunctioning around midday. Lost the signal completely and switched to our compass. The trail descended into a mossy ravine. I spotted something metallic in the creek, just a discarded drink can. We searched for any trace of Sarah. Broken branches, footprints, anything. Nothing. I questioned if she deviated from the expected route. Her pictures documented her ascent, each one closer to the peak. A low stone wall in one photo gave us a target. We pushed on. Hours blurred. The sky grew overcast. Radio contact dissolved into static. Mark was already tagging trees with orange tape. Mid-afternoon, we found a single footprint beneath a pine. Smaller than ours, possibly a woman's hiking boot. The edges were faded. It pointed onward. We ascended. My legs ached, but adrenaline kept me going. We found a decaying tarp. Ahead, the path forked. We chose the upward route, following Sarah's pictures. We soon reached the stone wall, same moss patterns. She'd definitely been here. We fanned out, searching. No phone, no bag, no campsite. Wind howled through the gnarled trees. Mist thickened, blurring the landscape. Mark gestured uphill. A pile of stones clearly placed there. We approached. It was definitely human-made. Behind it, a bright red scarf, almost new. I bagged it. Its scent lingered. We tried the radio. Still dead. Mark suggested we camp. Darkness was closing in. We cleared a space by the wall. I climbed higher for a better view. Then I saw it. Higher up, nestled between rocks, something white. We climbed towards it. Loose gravel shifted underfoot. We reached the spot. A torn, weathered piece of paper lodged between the stones. A few words remained legible. No signal. Trust him. Post later. The next day, we located a piece of gray fabric snagged on the rocks. Part of a zipper was attached. It matched Sarah's backpack from her last video. We meticulously searched the surrounding area. Then Amy shouted. She'd found disturbed earth, a slide mark leading to a steep drop-off. We gathered at the edge, using the drone to scan below, but the signal was weak. I used binoculars. Not much to see, but I marked the location. It was the only possible route after a fall. Back at base, Sarah's friends sent us recovered messages. Fragmented, but chilling. I fell. Can't climb back. Legs bad. Another. He's watching. Wants me to describe everything. The man who recommended the trail had been messaging her after her fall. Not helping, just questioning. Describe the pain. What color is the blood? She pleaded for help, offered anything. He just kept her talking. We camped near the drop-off. No one slept. At dawn, we began the descent. Treacherous. Halfway down, a woman's boot wedged between rocks. Lower, a piece of fabric, part of a sleeve. We were close. We found a narrow crevice, almost hidden. Drag marks led inside. We crawled in. The space widened. There she was. Sarah, motionless, legs twisted, dried blood on her face and jacket. No pulse. Gone. Her phone lay beside her, cracked but still on. Messages filled the flickering screen. "Please send someone. I can't feel my legs." His replies were detached. "Stay calm. Describe what you see." Another. "I'm watching, but can't help yet." He'd been toying with her. We recovered the phone, wrapped her body. Mark finally got a satellite signal. The helicopter arrived near sunset. We were silent during the airlift. At the station, we gave everything to the authorities. The account used to message her was a ghost, created weeks before, deleted after. Untraceable. We found her, but too late. Her last message echoed, "Why won't you save me if you can see where I am?" He had eyes on her. A drone? Something with a live feed. He watched her die. The news blamed influencers, online dangers. None of that mattered. We kept seeing that message. No motive, no ransom. Just the pleasure of her suffering. Now, I ignore comments on public posts. I warn people about strangers online, especially those offering hidden gems. This world isn't all admirers. Some want to watch you fall. Sarah wanted a beautiful photo. She found a trap. We still hike, still volunteer, but we're more cautious. I always think of her. Lying there, looking up, believing help would come. Someone was watching. Not to help, Sarah sat on her patio editing a video. The evening air was cool, and she and Emily sipped coffee wrapped in sweaters. A rhythmic tapping started at the sliding glass door. They froze. A quiet voice, almost a breath, whispered, "Get out." The tone was eerily calm. Sarah flung the door open. Nothing. The backyard was empty. Then, quick footsteps on the gravel driveway. Sarah ran. Silence. The yard was deserted. She scanned the area for several minutes but found nothing. Inside, Emily locked the doors, rattled. Sarah dismissed it as a prank, but they agreed to stay inside after dark. The next day, Sarah bought a security camera. That night, they checked the house. Behind a flower pot, a faint scratch marked the wall. Several more scratches, like test cuts from a blade, appeared near other windows by morning. Emily wouldn't go outside. The camera footage showed nothing. Later, blocked accounts reappeared on Emily's social media with new usernames. One message read, "Leave my house or I'll force you." They stayed inside, filming nothing. Sarah searched the property but found no trace of anyone. That night, Emily showed Sarah a new message. "You're still here." They hadn't shared their address. Sarah contacted the realtor about the harassment. He explained the previous owner had died a year earlier. The property sold to a rental company. There were no disputes. The police came. Sarah showed them the scratches and the messages, even a cigarette butt Emily had bagged. The officers suggested more cameras, gave Sarah a card. They offered no real reassurance. Over the next few days, unsettling incidents continued. The gate open, a dented mailbox, drawings and cryptic notes. The messages intensified. "The floor remembers. You didn't knock. You smile in my space." They went private, but the messages still arrived. One night, shattering glass woke them. A brick lay amidst the shards of the living room window. Sarah glimpsed a tall, thin figure fleeing. They called the police, who arrived almost an hour later, long after the intruder vanished. They considered leaving, but had a month left on the lease. The next day, an envelope appeared with their names handwritten. Inside, a typed letter claimed they were illegally occupying the house and threatened legal action. The attorney's signature was fake. A new message appeared. "Now, you see I have more right to it than you." They left that evening, taking only essentials. From the hotel, they stayed offline. They had lost. Sarah occasionally checked the security feed dark, empty, waiting. They never retrieved their belongings. The landlord handled it. Emily erased every photo of the house. Their online content shifted to neutral locations. They never learned who was behind it. Now, they avoid private rentals. No photo opportunity was worth this fear. My videos sometimes showed glimpses of local landmarks. I never thought much of it, but then she messaged me. "I recognize that brick wall covered in vines from your third video. That's near your place, right?" I didn't reply. Her tone wasn't fan-like. It felt obsessive, like she was piecing together my life from tiny details. That night, walking my dog, Buster, I felt eyes on me. I kept my head down. Later, another message. "Saw you with Buster. He's adorable." I'd never mentioned his name online. Then, a picture of my apartment door. "I'm here," the caption read. I was across town at a friend's, but a shiver ran down my spine. I asked a neighbor to check. She was gone. A voice message followed. "I'll remove anything that keeps us apart," she said, her voice eerily calm. It wasn't obsession, it was entitlement. I warned her I'd contact security. Her response was instant. "You can't hide. I know your routines, your friends." Fear, real fear, gripped me. The next day, a neighbor told me a woman had been asking about me. The blogger on the third floor, wanting to deliver something. Another neighbor confirmed it. I thought about moving, changing the locks, anything. I covered my webcam, stopped posting, scrubbed my online presence. Friends suggested the police, but she hadn't technically committed a crime. Yet the messages continued, filled with details about my life, even mentioning people I hadn't posted about in ages. My friends got messages too, weird personal questions, like she was investigating my relationships. My friend David even received one asking, "Do you think he'll pick you over me?" She kept referencing a contest I'd run, claiming I'd made a promise. The prize had become some twisted symbol of a contract. My attempts to disappear only fueled her pursuit. One night, around 11, I returned to my quiet building. The elevator doors opened, and there she was, holding a gift bag. Frozen, I watched as she offered it to me. "Since you won't accept my prize willingly," she murmured, "I brought you mine." Inside were expensive gifts, cologne, a smartwatch, artwork with my name engraved. It felt like a bribe. "You need to leave," I managed. "Now." She stepped closer. "I won't let anyone else have you," she whispered, her smile unsettling. I bolted up the stairs, heart pounding. I slammed and locked my door, listening. Silence. Later, I peeked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. The bag lay discarded. Inside, with the untouched gifts, was a note. "Call me if you want to be my prize," written in red ink, with her number below. I haven't posted publicly since. My accounts are locked, my name's off the lease. I don't tell anyone where I live. I still don't know if she's out there, waiting. A constant unease settled in whenever I left my apartment. Locations from online photo street corners, park benches, cafes I frequented became eerily familiar. This person, whoever they were, had been documenting my life for weeks, possibly months, compiling a disturbing diary of images, times, and cryptic notes. My reports to the social media platform, complete with screenshots and detailed explanations of the stalker's behavior, were met with automated, unhelpful responses. No matter how clearly I described the pattern, their generic replies insisted no serious violation of community guidelines had occurred. The photos and captions were always just vague enough to avoid any real consequences. One afternoon, at the small salon space I rented, a woman I'd never met walked in, inquiring about a trial makeup session. She gave a false name and claimed to be seeking inspiration for a photo shoot. Though polite and smiling, her questions felt unsettling. Instead of makeup, she focused on my daily routines, work schedule, living situation, and how long I'd been at the salon. I gave evasive answers, steering the conversation back to her supposed makeup needs, but she persisted, asking if friends visited, if I worked alone, if I had other locations. When I questioned her invasive inquiries, she simply replied she was collecting inspiration and liked knowing the artist. I didn't believe her. My hands shook as I rushed through the session, maintaining a calm facade. The moment she left, I locked the door, watching until she vanished down the street, then practically sprinted to my car, anxiously checking my surroundings. Driving home, the realization hit me. If this woman was the person behind the online accounts, she now knew everything: my workplace, schedule, even the flow of people in and out of my salon. This wasn't online anymore. She had invaded my physical space, looked me in the eye. That night, I frantically backed up files, deleted geotagged posts, scrubbed photos revealing my apartment or neighborhood details, and locked down my social media. I warned friends and clients against tagging me, and even changed my number. It felt like damage control after a disaster. I spent the next few weeks at a friend's secure high-rise apartment, terrified to return home. The thought of my own front door brought back the chilling photo and caption, the stalker's tone suggesting they were closing in. The woman from the salon never contacted me again. Her number was disconnected, and her name yielded no online results. Around the same time, the accounts tagging me went dormant, not deleted, just frozen. It was unsettling. Before, I could at least track her activity, sense her presence. Now, it felt like she was lurking, silently observing. Sleep became impossible. Every noise in my friend's apartment jolted me awake. I clutched my keys, bag packed for a quick escape. Friends urged me to go to the police, but what evidence did I have? No direct threats, no break-ins, just screenshots, a strange woman's questions, and a terrifying gut feeling. I couldn't even prove the woman at the salon was the same person. Yet, every fiber of my being screamed that she was. I still work, still post online, but far less frequently. Live sessions, location tags, and casual photos are gone. I've rejected collaborations with new people, distrustful of everyone. My face is still out there, but I feel like I've lost control of my own image. I used to crave visibility. Now, I just want to be invisible. Some might dismiss my fear as overblown, but I know what I experienced. I saw how it began, innocently enough, with a few tags, and how it twisted into something sinister. The danger doesn't always announce itself with blaring sirens. Sometimes, the true horror creeps in quietly, hidden in cryptic captions and blurred photos. Now, I live as privately as possible, hoping this bizarre game of online stalking and real-world encounters is finally over.